Hi everybody, welcome back to my Dungeon Boss campaign series. This is the last chapter of Chapter 5. It's going to be the Reflection Halls. We're going to be dealing with Kang today. So King Kong on normal mode, the benefit of normal mode is essentially you have the option of over leveling a little bit if you're having trouble with him. You'll see this first run that I do. I actually do 2 runs. I have a fairly limited hero roster, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to go through and beat him, even though I'm about at the recommended level. I do have a couple of runes on my guys, but I'm not heavily runed up just yet. That actually hasn't been necessary at this point. As we transition into Chapter 6, though, I will start to use the runes a little bit more because they are a little bit more helpful at that point. You do start to get a few more and you can start runing up more of your heroes. But ultimately, most people, as they're playing through naturally, I tried my best to stay below level for most of my campaign videos here. But just playing naturally and just doing a couple of quests, I found myself leveling up fairly fast. And I remember that from the first time I played through the game too, is that I didn't intentionally slow level, which it basically made you progress really fast. Now, when you run Kang, this dungeon here, if you have a different tank besides Stonefist, I would definitely recommend using either Sir William or Yokozuna if you have him. The reason being is Stonefist, with his slow speed, he can be a little bit difficult to manage that taunt. Notice how his taunt expired in the last room, and it gave all 3 of those fast heroes free reign to just attack Darius. And that's going to be a major problem in terms of trying to keep a team alive. If you can't taunt in the normal turn, in this case here, that one wouldn't have mattered as much anyways, because the taunt would have still been down even for those fast heroes, so even if it was a normal speed. So you can see this team here actually deteriorated quite quickly, so I'm just speeding this up so we can go through to the end, and we'll just make a couple of other notes as we get towards the end of this one. But essentially, if you can get a normal speed taunter, at least you're not going to get killed by normal speed enemies. You will have to contend with those fast enemies. So if you do have a good, strong, fast hero, like maybe if you've unlocked Indigo already, or if you have a strong Shadow Blade, you can get rid of some of them. Or even if you're really lucky, if you have Black Diamond at this point, you can use her to AoE kill those guys. Otherwise, the whole point is to have Stonefist soak that damage, and if you don't manage that taunt well enough, you're going to end up like this one here, where you just can't keep up with the dungeon. So in this case here, wasn't able to kill the falling objects, and basically this one just fell apart. Even after using a revive potion, it just wasn't going to go. So we're actually going to rerun this again with the exact same team and actually try to manage it a little bit better. The goal is, if we can get past those fast heroes with appropriate taunts, then we can at least get through the dungeon a little bit better. And you can see that I didn't have Yoko or Sir William, so Stonefist is the only tank that I got that can really do this, so I pretty much have to use him. The other name of the game, as far as some of these epic dungeons go, are if you can get a couple of ascensions early on. Notice my Yasmin here just does not have the extra ascensions. You'll see that as being more critical at the end of this run, when it comes to the point of healing. But you can see here, because of the speed of those heroes, getting past this first room can even be tough sometimes, because I basically have to wait for all of them to go before Stonefist can even attack. That's where a regular speed taunter is going to come in really handy, and it's highly recommended, unless you just want to just run a few daily quests and then just come back to this one. So the typical taunt lasts for 3 turns. So if you're going to micromanage this, you have to keep in mind of when that taunt is actually going to expire. Like I said, it's not going to matter too much. You'll be able to see when it expires, because it's going to expire before his turn anyways, and any fast hero on there is going to get a chance to go anyways. So really what I'm looking at here for my run is, can I get a little bit of RNG and not get so many of those flying bats? That's the tough part. So I always focus on them first with Darius because of the range attack. Obviously, arrows have always worked against flying in pretty much every role-playing game since the beginning of role-playing games. That's just one of the things. So makes sense. I'm glad they brought it into this game as well. Arrows defeat flying. That's just how it always has been. So my taunt is currently down. And then we actually get a good room here, which if we kill one of them, they're not likely to kill my entire team. So that's the main thing. And now the taunt is back up. I can save myself. So I had to attack the stronger one first because I knew that Yasmin would be able to kill either one of them then. That was the main goal here, is to not waste attack power. So the only thing I really wish I had is I really wish I had at least one more Ascension on Yasmin, because then I could at least get that second heal in there. And that's you're going to see that as being a major component at the end here. As a spoiler alert, this ends up not being a 3-star for that exact reason. It just can't keep up with the heals. This one here worked out well, though, with the taunt still up. I was able to taunt the bat and take him out. We haven't gotten into the potion loadout yet. Honestly, depending on your hero roster and who you're going to bring into this dungeon will ultimately determine what sort of potions you need. Being that I had Darius and Yasmin, both of them are fairly weak when it comes to armor. So essentially what I'm looking at is you have to have at least one revive potion, because it's always likely that one of them is going to die, especially once we get into Kang. Now, if I decided to go with 2 damage dealers and a healer, then I don't have that taunter. So I pretty much have to use this layout with a healer, a damage, and a taunter. That's the only way that you can really get through this end one, unless you can make it through the entire dungeon just one-shotting every single room, which at this level it's unlikely that you would do that. So both of these projectiles hit pretty hard, so it's always going to be best. You can check his immunities and stuff. He's got some pretty basic ones for this level. Nothing overly critical at this point, not like we see with the boss mode one. So really what I was looking for is just anything that was gonna, be an issue with using this attack, and looks like it works out pretty well. The projectiles don't generally have a ton of health, but they don't get taken out by a single Yasmin attack, so that's one thing that you have to contend with. So depending on who your damage dealer is, you really should have an AoE, because you can't take out both of them. So we can see he's already putting up a little bit of damage here. The nice thing about Darius is that man-eater trait. I'm kind of forced into using my 1 health potion here. I basically probably could have brought in 3 energy potions. It probably would have been smarter than a health potion. But the thing is, the energy potion on Yasmin, she wasn't going to be able to heal Stonefist to full health, and so I didn't feel like that was a good use of the energy potion at that time. So that's why I brought the 1 health potion, just so that I could fill up from a completely dead hero all the way up to max health. We actually did get a little bit lucky as far as that projectile went too, because he could have threw that at anybody and he still threw it at Stonefist, which was nice. Rough part at this point now is because Yasmin has poison. And actually what happens, you can see it here, I accidentally spent the potion on Darius. It was just a misclick that didn't work properly, and I don't know how I did it with having a mouse pointer there, and I still misclicked. But I definitely did not want to use it on Darius because I had the taunt up on Stonefist. I felt like I could have killed the icicle and just let him throw the snowball at Stonefist, and he would have soaked it just fine. And then I could have healed with Yasmin, and then I could have used the next one on her again and healed her, and she wouldn't have died here. So in addition to her dying, basically I lost my healer now too. So I don't have the ability to basically save Stonefist or Darius at this point. So now it's just a matter of it's a race against the clock, essentially. Fortunately, Stonefist does a decent amount of damage. This is basically where things go south because Taunt is up, or it's off. And, well, he didn't throw it at Darius, which was surprising. And we're almost there. And then we got Darius to save the day with her Purple Rain. So it wasn't the prettiest of wins, but again, it was still basically around level, and it was with a pretty weak hero roster, and a roster that really doesn't have any runes on them either. So it's definitely doable. In this case here with my account, I'll just come back when I'm level 20 or so and just get the 3-star then. I don't intend to farm Phenol tokens for a long time. I'm not interested in him even with the buffs that he's got, so I'm not really in a hurry to come back to this here. So stick around. We're going to be moving on to Chapter 6, and you can see once we get into Chapter 6 that these actually start to get a little bit tougher. I think runes are going to be a little bit more important there. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Otherwise, stick around, and thanks for watching.